Right, hello. Hello. Hi, welcome to Behind the Paddle podcast. I am Porcelain Victoria.
And I am Emily Sin.
Yeah, and today we are going to keep talking about my Parliament visit. Yeah. So, what were the next questions?
Cool. So in the last episode we kind of discussed what was your kind of inspiration as to why you had decided to speak at Parliament. A little bit about your friend's story which you shared when you were down there, and how police involvement has kind of personally affected your life and work. And we had some positives in there as well. I feel like we got quite like a mixed
bag, yeah.
A mixed bag, which is always the case with things, you know, nothing's all bad. And then we had kind of discussed what some of the biggest challenges that you had faced as a sex worker in relation to law enforcement. So we'd covered that in the last episode, and now we're going to kind of speak a wee bit more about like the big picture. So what message were you hoping to convey to Parliament?
The message of women should be able to do what we want to do with our bodies.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be humiliated or forced to go underground. We shouldn't, like, why is there any need to criticize women or just sex workers in general on doing what they want to do? That because I don't really come from somewhere where I needed to do sex work. Like, I've had moments in my career where like I needed to take work, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I've always had like a roof over my head. So the main with my situation was just like, why to really make a stance on the women, the sex workers that are enjoying their job.
Yeah, totally.
Why do you want to stop it? We aren't getting forced into doing it. We do truly love it.
Yeah.
So I really, really wanted to explain to them why proceed without caution. The police need to realize that even if they see us as like a victim, we're not always a victim.
Yeah.
And they need to do more research, absolutely, into who exactly is being the victim.
And the victims are victims of a separate crime.
Yeah.
And that's what they should be focusing on, rather than like prostitution in and of itself.
Yeah.
Or
like,
just sex work generally, but
exactly.
That's what they mean when they say this, let's be honest.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Like when we went to Decrim, Scotland, the protest, it was great. There was quite a few people there, and most of us took had a speech in some way, shape or form, and
including yourself, which was amazing. An impromptu speech in front of that many people. You've got bigger balls that day.
I was just like, fuck it, I might as well pick up the microphone. But yeah, like once they hit one section of us, they've already got us with the Online Safety Act.
Yeah.
They're gonna be hitting all different types of us.
Yeah.
Like, so when it comes to burlesque, stripping, when it comes to phone chat, like webcammers, I guarantee they're gonna come for all of us eventually.
Well, I mean, the Online Safety Act's obviously affecting webcammers at the moment already. You know, there is a domino effect with these type of things that, like, that it's clear to see that's the direction things are heading in at the moment, and that's why, like, the work that you've been doing is so important, because you're being part of the fight against that.
Yeah.
That is needed to be had for things to, I don't even want to say change in a positive way, but at least stop changing in a negative way as it is at the moment.
Yeah, we've caused up a bit of a fuss.
Yeah.
We've tried to get recognition from the government, and it's slowly working, but it does really, really need to change in terms of how people see us and how people view us. Like, I had somebody call me actually this morning on a no caller ID number. Now I'll pick them up every now and again, but I picked it up and I was like, "Hi, sorry, I can't take your booking because you're on a no caller ID number." And he was like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was on a no caller ID number. I'll message you just after this." And I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you, goodbye." And he was like, "You're a slut.
Oh, right.
You're a whore. That's all you are." And I was like, right. So you've rang me for like probably a free wank or just to be a complete cunt.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is the thing that we're dealing with, where men don't want us to do what we want with our body. They can't admit that they're okay with that to themselves.
Yeah.
Like,
so they have to take it out on you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yes, I'm a whore. I'm so used to men calling me, like, I'm not a woman. I'm whatever a man wants to call me, basically. And it's ridiculous. And it's not funny, but it is at the same time, where men think, because the majority of the abuse that I get is men. Like, there are women out there, absolutely, who do not want to see sex work decriminalized.
I like SWERFs and stuff, which is sex work exclusionary feminists.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, we just want to do what we need to survive, especially survival sex workers, where they're on the streets or they do have a house, but they have to take certain clients.
Yeah. And as was pointed out when we were at this protest at the weekend, the problem with a lot of the legislation that's getting proposed at the moment is, rather than helping these women who are stuck and it's not a job they want to do and are trapped in this situation, they, instead of helping them get out of it, are going, you can't work anymore. And it, like, people are in that position because they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And then they're not giving them any other option out of it. So it's actually affecting the people who are quote unquote victims, at least in the eyes of the law.
Yep.
And taking them and making their situation worse and not actually helping them.
No.
So it doesn't even make sense from the point of view that they're trying to put it across us. Like, it just falls to bits as soon as you start to kind of question it at all.
Absolutely.
It's...
And then you can ask them, like, oh, have you worked as a sex worker before? And the majority of the time, especially if they're politicians, they go, oh no. Like, they haven't worked a day in their life being a sex worker.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you comment on something when you aren't a part of the people who you're talking about?
When you're not experienced in it, what are you basing it on? Because if you're basing it on the studies, which you should be, if you're not knowledgeable in a subject, you should listen to the experts that are. All the studies point towards Decrim being the safest and the least harmful and the most, like, just generally beneficial to both what the police are trying to fight against and what sex workers are trying to fight for.
There needs to be less abuse of the police system. And that's one of the things we did talk about with Proceed Without Caution in London at Parliament, because the police are being very abusive in so many different ways, in so many different areas of the UK.
Again, to these quote-unquote victims that they are, like,
my friend wasn't a victim or anything like that. She wanted to do her job. And it's ridiculous, it really is, where there are sex workers who just want to get on with it and they enjoy it. And it's like,
as much as you enjoy any job, you know, like, it doesn't need to be like the love of their life, like their absolute passion, but like,
it pays the bills.
Yeah.
It pays the bills.
They enjoy it, and that's enough, you know?
Absolutely. Just because you don't agree with it does not mean that that it has to be shut down. It has to be properly all criminalized and underground, and you basically spitting at sex workers just because of what they do.
Yeah.
And Proceed Without Caution, we also met some lovely people and talked about how when people are street walking and they do get cautioned, that is on their record for like till you reach 100.
Yeah.
100 years, something like that. And it's like...
It just further traps them in that position, which is the thing that they're claiming is like what's happening for everybody.
Yeah.
And yet the way things are handled is actually making that worse.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't. It's like, right, cool. So they've now got that on their record, which comes up on a DBS check.
Yeah.
And
which makes it harder for them to get jobs.
Exactly. No, like, we heard a few people talk about how they're struggling to get work. Even somebody so young as like 18 to 22, they struggled to get work. And then we had somebody who was in their 50s and they're on benefits.
Yeah.
They're on universal credit because nobody wants to hire them, not even as a cleaner.
Yeah.
I'll go into it more, but on another episode when we do focus on proceed without caution. But she is a carer for her son, and she's had like at least 18 years of caring, and she still couldn't get a carer's job because of her conviction.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous, and that was like so many years ago as well. And it's like, why are you stopping us from living, from actually living? Like, we're unable to get a job. We're criticized by a good majority of people, sadly. So it is a struggle to make friendships and have partners and everything that goes along with that. Why are you trying to make it even harder for us?
For a thing that's not even illegal in and of itself. You know, like, obviously there's things around it which are, and that's why so many people do have cautions and stuff like that and do have things on their record, but so much of the reason behind why they've done these things is to keep themselves safe.
Exactly, and it's not their fault.
Because as a woman lone working, regardless of whether you're doing sex work or any other job, it is dangerous.
Yeah. Damn right.
But
if we're working with somebody else, it's then a brothel. And you can get thrown in jail.
Yeah.
And it's just like ridiculous. There is no way to keep us safe. And it's like one thing in Belgium. I want to say it's in Belgium. Belgium. Where recently, if you are hired by an agency or a pimp, they've been fighting for 2 years to get this, where only if you are hired, then you will get maternity leave. You will get like a pension and things like that. And now brothels there need to have like an emergency button.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Sadly, there is nothing talking about if you're just self-employed. It's just only if you're employed. And if you cannot become a pimp or somebody who employs sex workers if you have a criminal record.
Yeah.
Which I think that's pretty alright.
I think that's fair in the sense of like you are then managing people.
Yeah.
And you're managing a profession that can be exploited.
Yeah.
Which is basically any profession, let's be honest, but like it has a higher risk of exploitation, let's say. Which is totally fair to say. Like, I understand where, like, I don't even want to say where some of the prejudice comes from, because that sounds horrendous and it's not what I mean, but like there is a link there. But there's a link there because this industry is driven so underground because of the stigma anyway, that it allows space for people to get missed. People don't feel safe to go and speak to the police. Like, people are in a vulnerable position, and that's where the exploitation comes in. It's nothing to do with the job in and of itself, but like the situation that the laws surrounding it put people in. Because it isolates them.
Yeah.
In terms of the law and other people in their industry, because it's not legal for them to be
it's even
working together.
Yeah, it's even like going to the doctors and talking about what your job is. It's like, are they gonna tell social services?
Yeah.
Are they gonna tell the police or anything like that? Or like, Are they going to like flag up your account or something?
It
Like,
puts you in a vulnerable position where you cannot turn for help and therefore are
Exactly.
more open to exploitation because of that.
Yeah.
And if the laws changed, that would no longer be the case. The stigma would still be there, and I'm not saying that would go away
Yeah.
overnight, but things being illegal or things surrounding them being illegal is where that stigma like gets kept alive.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, but it's illegal though. Like, why is it illegal if it's not morally wrong or whatever where the stigma is based in? So
Yeah.
how do you feel policymakers responded to your testimony? Like, actually, when you were there, what was the kind of
So we actually had some members of the Green Party there.
nice?
Um,
Oh, there was one of the MPs was at the protest we were at as well. One of the Green MPs, which
yes.
was pretty cool.
Like, I really like the Greens. I like
Yeah.
the effort they're making
Mm-hmm.
to actually want to decriminalize this.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure if there was actually other MPs there, really.
Yeah.
Which
They should get made to be there.
Yeah, they should. They absolutely should. So I actually messaged the MP of Inverkeithing
Mm-hmm.
to actually attend.
Nice.
Did I get a reply? No. No reply. Nothing.
Yeah.
So we'll see in the future if the MPs get invited to anything else.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely going to send an invitation along. But I feel like them not replying speaks volumes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if it was like, I don't believe in the MP's world that an email is missed or anything like that. So yeah, we'll see. We will see.
What was it you invited them to? The protest?
Parliament.
Down south Parliament? Yeah.
Yeah. And I just didn't get any reply back.
Yeah.
Because I would have appreciated a reply with just saying, "Oh, sorry, I can't make it," or anything like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Acknowledging that we exist.
Mm-hmm.
And there is like a meeting, a protest, whatever you want to call it, that needs MPs to listen and
Yeah.
hear about us. And we are here and we're going to stay.
Do you know what party they're with? Is it Labour?
I want to say yes.
Yeah. It was probably Labour, like, over the majority, so.
The only ones which I remember were the Green Party coming in to see.
Yeah.
Which, there was no Tories or anything, I don't think.
No.
But
surprise.
I really, really appreciate them taking time out of their day to even pop in for like 10 minutes to hear one of our stories. I do believe with the Green Party, like, they do want a change, and hopefully it is for the better.
Mm-hmm. They had a lot, like, in their oh my god, my brain's forgot the name for it. Like, when it's coming up to election and they've got other like policies that they're taking forward. Like, they had quite a lot of stuff to do with sex work in it. Like, they're very pro sex work, so
yeah, like,
and pro decrim as well.
I think the ones that did attend, hopefully they took away something within the lines of, man, we do really need to decriminalize this so people can actually work and things like that. But the government are full of rich people.
Yeah.
The good majority of them, that's how they get in power.
We have not had a prime minister that's not been privately educated.
Yeah. Like,
so, yeah.
I really hope they thought about what we all said.
Mm-hmm.
But deep down, I don't really think they did. Because I just, it doesn't affect them. Same with poverty.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect them one bit. So I don't really think, if it went in to their heads, I don't really think it made any difference to them, because they're not in that like majority of people.
Yeah.
The Green Party, I feel like because they're young and they're like, they're not new, are they?
No.
But like they're very modern and urban, I feel.
I know what you mean.
With
like,
their views.
They're out with the usual kind of.
Yeah. They're not old school where like.
Aye.
Like
they are a newer party in terms of, like, obviously Tory and that's been about for like hundreds of years, or like, or whatever.
Like,
do not know enough about this to be talking about, yeah.
But, like, they're the ones which I've seen taken interest.
Yeah.
Massively. I know that Lib Dems as well, they are for decriminalizing us, but I don't know enough about that.
Yeah.
But I do know the Green Party, they did turn up.
Yeah.
And they've turned up to 2 now that I know of.
Yeah.
And that I have been to. And it's doing that which gives me a little bit of hope, but I don't know if they will ever get in power or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because Labour, I don't think, wants to decriminalise us.
I don't think that they had anything in their policies about sex work either way this time round. I don't think it was a topic that was mentioned within their like policies that they'd like their promises going into being elected that I know about.
Yeah, because all I heard about
that
was Greens.
That Greens and Lib Dem were pro, but were also the only ones that actually mentioned sex work at all, as far as I'm aware. I would need to double check that, but
that's what I think as well.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing anything about it because I did have like a good read through everything at the time, and it was something I was keeping an eye out for, and I don't remember seeing it. So yeah, I don't know that. I think because of how this election was, like that almost wasn't relevant, and I don't mean that in a horrible way, just because it was this kind of.
I mean, it's that stigmatized, and the fact that some clients, some men will stand up for us, but others won't.
Yeah.
Like,
even the people that use your services, are so like, in my eyes, full of shame about themselves that they're still against it. Even though it's something that they
and if they have wives, they can't be like
they can't be vocal about it.
Exactly, because then their wives will be like, why?
Yeah,
like unless their wives support sex workers, but I don't know. Like, I really, really hope that the MPs that did. I know the Green Party did come because they actually stood up and said something. They were one of the only parties that actually stood up and said something in regards to proceed without caution. And so the other MPs that did look and listen, I really do hope they took away the fact that we do need help in that regards. And poverty is just getting worse and worse, and it all comes down to that basically. And
if people had more money, they would have more options. If that is what this is about, unfortunately, it's no. It's what they say it's about, but it's not about that. Like, in my eyes, sex workers have got the option to not just make money, but make big money. To the point that they're like moving up out of lower class within a lifetime, and I feel like that is a threat. To be honest, that's my take on it.
It's like
without going down the private school, you know, like it's moving people up the class system.
I mean, I've got 2 properties, and like I would never freaking think that I would be here and I would actually achieve that. Because I doubt I would if I had like a quote unquote normal job.
No, without like degrees and all money that's like, do you know what I mean?
Like, so I went to college and I did professional cookery because I wanted to be a chef. I know. And then I still love cooking, but I realized how sexist it was, low pay, and the grueling hours and the things that can entail with that. And I was like, I'd rather not, because like I went for like an interview to be one of the chefs in the kitchen, and the interviewer looked at me and they were like, oh, we could use a girl for being a bartender. And I was like, I don't want to be a fucking bartender and shit. Like, no, I don't want to be front of house just because I've got an okay set pair of tits and like a face. Like, no.
See, it's stories like this, like, that wind me the fuck up when people are like, oh, but sex workers are like being abused by men and they're being taken advantage of, and the sexism and the this and the that. And I'm like, mate, that just exists everywhere.
Yeah.
That's no like a sex work specific thing. But at least with sex work, like,
it's in front of you.
And you get to choose who you work with a hell of a lot more than you do if you're a waitress in a bar.
To some extent.
And you're stuck with whoever's in that night. Do you know what I mean? I'm not, like, obviously, I'm not saying that nothing bad ever happens or whatever, but, like, you or some people have then more control over who they work with.
Yeah.
In a way that people who maybe are working in an office and have a shitty manager or shitty colleagues don't to the same extent.
Yeah, like there's many different situations of being a sex worker. I don't like seeing them in tiers, but like I see survival sex workers here at the bottom, and then you've got like it goes up and up with like how much you can make and things, and like how much how do I explain this in my lovely autistic head? So okay, I worked out in my autistic head after a second. So there's like a hill, basically, that you have to climb.
Yeah.
And you've got, right at the bottom, you've got the survival sex workers who do something for like £10.
Yeah.
So like there are different types of choosing who you can work with and who you can't work with, because somebody could be doing it for drugs, somebody could be doing it for depression, somebody could be doing it to fill some sort of addiction, or they could literally be doing it because they love it.
Yeah.
And it is a very hard hill to climb. So like, yeah, you've got like survival sex workers at the bottom, and then it slowly goes up to being able to actually afford a place to like rent and being able to afford like maybe a car or something like that, like things which like luxuries and like things which you need to survive, and food and things like that. So like I am very, very lucky that I can be like 150 to 200 or whatnot an hour, depending on my area as well. There's like loads and loads of factors to point in. So thankfully, I'm at a stage in my life where, to some extent, I can choose what clients I see.
Yeah.
Without worrying if my bills are going to get paid or not.
I feel like I totally get what you're saying, where it's not always that people have that option.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could implement one immediate change in how law enforcement interacts with sex workers, what would it be?
Oh, geez. Now that's a difficult one, because I feel like that ties into so much in terms of actually the bastards would find a loophole. They would. I guarantee it. Because with my friend, they were meant to do their due diligence and actually do the research. Did they fuck?
I like approach people one-on-one and check in with them, because it can be so traumatizing for people if they have actually been trafficked into a situation for them to go and raid that property.
Exactly. Like their pimp could be there.
Exactly.
And like that pimp could like have a gun, a knife. Like as soon as they walk in, their life is in danger.
Yeah, they don't know what they're walking into, so they're supposed to actually try and speak to the people first to find out more information.
Yeah.
Before they go full ham.
Yeah, full fucking raid.
And shut like roads and shit. Yeah.
Shut roads, handcuff clients and threaten them, and it's ridiculous. And this is the day and age we live in. It really is. And it's sad. It's pitiful in the way that the police are doing this. It really is. I think there needs to be, it's not going to happen, sadly, I doubt it, that there needs to be a safe space where survival sex workers can take clients somewhere. I know that in the UK there is one road or street where they've like legalized street walking because it was that bad.
Yeah.
So something needs to happen with that. I don't give a shit that much about myself, because there's the trauma response in my head is there's always somebody who's got it worse off.
Yeah.
And I want to help those people first, because I've being scrutinized for doing this job. Thankfully, I haven't need to like walk the streets and things like that. I haven't gotten to that stage. But I feel that we need to help people who are doing that and who are in their lives.
So pretty much just decrim then, for what
Yeah,
you're saying.
pretty much fucking decriminalize
Just
it.
full decriminalization.
Yeah.
Like,
if we were to go like the whole hog,
yeah,
and that's like our one wish we could use up with a genie,
yeah,
then decriminalize it all.
yeah.
Because I know in Glasgow we do have the place where people who use needles can go.
Like a needle exchange, yeah.
So why can't we have that with just escorts?
Yeah.
With like prostitutes. Why can't we do that?
It needs to get decriminalised first.
Yeah.
Aye. What happened, I can't remember what country it was, but this is a little bit off topic, but it's something that could happen here if things get done out of order. I remember when there was a needle exchange place got opened, and what was happening is all the police would sit and wait outside it, and they would arrest people as they were coming
where
out.
Was that? I remember we discussed this,
I spoke about this, and I cannot remember for the life of me where it was. It might have even been in the UK, but something tells me it wasn't.
No.
But yeah, things need
to change,
just
because that's a freaking loophole. That's what I mean.
They'll always find a way.
Yeah.
Always. It was probably America. That sounds like something that would happen in America.
Probably. Well, I mean, they're going to do that with abortion now.
Yeah.
In that way, like they're prosecuting the doctors and stuff.
Yeah. And that was happening when they first legalised weed in some states.
Mm.
Police from one state were hopping over the border and going and raiding like shops and stuff like that were legally in that state selling cannabis. Yeah. But people were just like the police were just like street justice basically, and gone and just did whatever the fuck they wanted.
Like they will always find a loophole, and it's just like, just leave us be. As long as we are able to do it safely to some extent, because there will always be clients and things. Yeah. The majority of our clients are men, I would say, unless you are advertised to a certain demographic. But
which I feel you would need to be living in like a big city, or at least London.
Yeah.
I feel like that is not a Scotland-based profession.
Yeah, we've discussed this before, where Scotland is poor. I'm sorry, but
it's also like not as like
there's not a lot of people
culturally diverse, I would say, as like elsewhere.
Get like, oh my god, going to London?
Yeah,
I'll see everybody.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's amazing, and I'm just like, this is not who I figured that my client would be.
Yeah,
and, like in a good way, absolutely,
totally.
Because it is just so different from being in
Lots
Scotland.
Lots of colourful, interesting people down in London.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's not that you don't get that up here, but it's just not rarer. To the same extent. And then not everybody's using sex work services, and it lowers the chances of that happening.
Exactly. It's like, if anybody listens and they're a pup or anything, I want some puppies. Like, I love pet play clients, but like, they don't pay for it. They just go to events and things like that, or munches, or have actual relationships with people outside of
like a
professional.
Yeah.
And that and adult babies and DGOG, the baby boy version as well. I can't remember. Yeah, mummy thingy.
I don't know what the letters are. I'm like,
I know, I'm trying to remember.
MDBB?
MD
Mummy Dom Baby Boy?
Yeah.
BBMD.
Let's say that.
We'll go with that. That's a bit of a myth though, but
like there is no for hire adult baby room in Scotland, and there's no like pet play rooms and stuff like that. Yeah. But they are common kinks, because we have events here in Scotland.
We have munchies that cater to that.
Yeah, well, there is an event, Padded Paws.
Where's that?
Glasgow.
Yeah. I've not came across that one.
It's alright, it's cute. Yeah. They have like a giant ball pit usually. It's nice. And like colouring and drawing.
Should we go?
Stuff. It's good, it's good. It's not too bad. And I think it is in a queer club as well. There's padded paws, and then we've got the munches. We have a lot of we have a few adult baby events. Because we have Little's Lock-In.
Yeah.
Which is quite known in like Derby and stuff now, as well as up in Scotland.
So has that got like adult baby in it as well? Or
Little's Lock-In is mainly adult. Adult baby and DGLG.
Oh, right, okay. I just always separate them in my head for some reason. Like it feels like adult baby's like a different thing to like littles.
Different. They're all different.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
you've
it's
got
just like
age play as well. There's...
just like an umbrella.
So
place.
Okay, so you've got adult baby, which is usually wearing diapers, maybe baby food, or something to the equivalent of that.
Yeah.
Usually being non-verbal, sometimes like breastfeeding, dressing up as usual, which you get in DGLG, and what is the overall
BBMD?
That's it. Yeah, I'm not. I don't because I enjoy DGLG myself, as a Switch, but like I never usually use the fucking other. Yeah, that one. So DGLG is more. I want to say like going halfway. So like still having like pacifiers in the bottles,
but more role playing than like.
No, they're both really role playing. Because in adult baby, you can still call somebody mommy or daddy.
Totally. I feel like DDLG, from what I've seen of it, is more sexualized.
Oh, yeah. I knew you were going to say that.
Rather than adult baby, which is what I mean by role play. Because for me, I know they're both role play, but like in my head, role play is when it's got like a sexual element. And then the other one's like more like age regression-y, which feels like a different thing.
Yeah, that's like in its own category these days.
Aye. Like, because I feel like you can do DDLG without doing age play. Whereas like, because it's more about the roles, so and then adult baby feels more actual age play to me. But I could, that
so
could be an experience.
So then you have the roles of like a big.
And like a middle as well. That's when folk are like a teenager kind of. Yeah,
I think so. And like that's a bit more grown up. I think it's called big. There's so many roles these days. So many. Because like I had to relearn like what the difference between age play and DGG is. Because and then age regression as well.
Yeah.
Oh, there's like so many. But yeah, I feel like those kinks, there's like not that many places.
Yeah.
To go for them, and they don't necessarily really want to hire a professional. But yeah, if you're into any of that, come. But yeah. That was a lovely ADHD rant.
Yeah, that was so like a big. Cool. We're on to our last question anyway.
Yeah.
So, what are the long-term goals of advocacy efforts like this, and how can the public support them?
So we can always email or send letters to our MPs, and be like, please decriminalize this, and like give reasons, and just spam them.
Yeah.
So like make them listen, make them learn, and realize, like, send them this podcast. Like, we really do want to decriminalize it, and we need people to learn more about it.
Totally.
And get rid of the stigma, because you shouldn't be shamed.
No.
At all. And like, you're doing whatever you want to do with your body to some extent, really. And we just need to get a grip, really.
Yeah.
Just get a grip.
Like, even if you don't agree with sex work as a concept, agree with body autonomy.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be your choice for it to still be a choice people could have or should have, you know? Like, you don't need to agree with it to still think that people deserve the freedom to make their own choices.
Exactly. So, yeah, message your MPs, however. Come to our protests. Yeah. Absolutely. You will learn something, I guarantee you, and you will meet an amazing community.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
sex workers of any type are like so welcoming
Yeah.
and so amazing. I mean, there's always a bad apple. I'm not gonna be like 100% we're all great, because in any community there are some cunts. But like the majority of us are like amazing.
Yeah.
And we do stand for like LGBTQ and everything good, basically. So really, really push for decriminalization. I would definitely say speak more about it to people.
Yeah, give some of the kind of local charities and stuff a follow as well, because they're doing some good work, kind
Yeah.
of going towards trying to get decrim.
Yeah,
Scotland
yeah.
for decrim. Num's got a Glasgow branch,
Yeah.
which is National Ugly Mugs.
Mhm.
Obviously we've got a lot more like kind of UK wide charities, but I think they're the two main like Scottish ones.
I don't think Ugly Mugs is Scottish.
No, but
I thought it was
they've got a
Irish.
base in
Oh
Scotland,
yeah,
is what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah.
Like they're still.
There was Umbrella Lane, but that's not called Umbrella
It's
Lane now.
Numbrella Lane now, because I think
Numbrella
they've
Lane.
like
Oh,
combined.
conjoined.
So there's them as well, but I think they're part of National Ugly Mugs.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
do you know any more in Scotland? There's some other. There's obviously like
Swarm.
Is that
They're amazing.
Scottish though?
Oh
Is that
no,
not?
they're not Scottish. Okay.
That's what I mean.
They're the only Scottish ones I know, really.
Yeah.
Because there's not that many of us. But yeah, we need this decriminalized.
Yeah.
We really, really do. Because I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail for any reason. Because all it takes is the police to be like, oh, we saw that you were doing this with whoever and whatnot, and like you were taking money off a client or something. That's all it takes, is just one cop who doesn't like us, and that's it.
Yep.
Like, I love my job, and I want to see people, survival sex workers, who are on the street, off the street, and safe to some extent.
Aye. The fate of someone's existence shouldn't come down to like one person.
It shouldn't come down to acceptance.
Opinion. Yeah.
It should just be, we want you to be safe. We want you to be respected. We want you to have no worries about doing your job.
You want us to be able to come and speak if
there is a problem.
There's a problem.
Yeah.
And be able to report crimes, actual crimes, harmful, violent crimes.
Exactly.
To the police.
Yep. It's great. Fucking wonderful.
But overall, was it worth the trip down?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It opened up my mind even more, and I didn't realise the struggles that people had.
Yeah.
In terms of especially police cautions and the fact that they stay on your record for so long and you struggle to get a job and everything like that. It's this, like, this is the trauma speaking of myself. Like, I feel bad going, because I've always been so lucky with like what clients and things like that, and it makes me even more sad that people are dealing with this.
Yeah.
And that there are people who are struggling so goddamn much, where the government just doesn't care, where the police just doesn't care, and they see us and they think, oh, they deserve to be in the gutter, basically, and they're gonna laugh at us. And it's like, we're human beings as well.
Yeah.
Like,
you deserve respect and you deserve rights. And that's what all this is about.
Yeah, now
is asking for the bare fucking minimum.
Exactly. And it's like the whole, oh, this is somebody's daughter, this is somebody's wife. Like,
did they think that when they watch porn?
I know. No, they think it if their own daughter or if their own wife is doing it, and then they go, ooh. Because, like, for whatever reason.
Because everyone else is dehumanized to them. They don't think about them being real people.
Yeah.
That's...
Exactly. And it's like, oh, I wouldn't want my daughter to do porn. And I am just saying the female side of it, because I feel like the female side gets a lot of scrutiny.
Yeah.
And again, the laws are quite gendered to females.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if my daughter did porn, as long as she's safe, as safe, to as safe as possible.
Yeah.
I wouldn't promote being an escort to her or anything like that. But as long as she's safe.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's her choice at the end of
It's
the day.
her own body.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, why are you going to control that? What right do you have? So, yeah, it could be somebody's sister, somebody's daughter, somebody's mother.
I feel like it's always when it's the daughter, though,
Oh, yeah.
that it
Because
becomes like a reality to them. Do you know what I mean?
the dads can get like defensive and stuff, and like they do feel shame. And I feel like my dad does probably feel shame because when when I was 15, I webcammed and stuff. I know, I don't need to hear it. But he said to me something along the lines of, I don't agree with it, but if you want to continue this as a career, 15-year-old me, I love that he knew that this was going to be my career to some extent. He said that if this is going to be your career, I will stand by you. But he doesn't want that.
Yeah.
He didn't want that. So I think my own father sees my achievements, like getting a house, and having a kid, and I don't know how that's an achievement actually. To some people,
because she's so cute.
To some people, having a kid is like an achievement, but like having a good life in a way, that's what he sees.
Yeah.
He doesn't see me like what can I say? He doesn't see me like shitting on men.
I was literally gonna say that, and I was like, "Is that where she's going?"
Like, he doesn't see me shitting, pissing on men. He doesn't see me opening up my legs or anything like that. He thinks it, like in the ways of, oh, I don't want to think about my daughter that way. And like make sure she gets tested and things like that. Like a good bit of safety. But when I talk to him, some of the things he says, I know that he doesn't want me to do this job.
Yeah.
But he knows that I enjoy it, and
that's all that should matter at the end of the day.
Yeah. But I know that he sees my achievements rather than understanding the job that I do, really. Which
a lot of people, that's what matters. Do you know what I mean? Is seeing like the money or the results side of things over. Yeah.
Oh no, this is a good one. When I was on video call with my dad, somebody else was there, and my dad told him what my job was, and that was fine. And the guy was just like, "Oh, I'm really, really proud of you." And so this is another family member, and he was like, "I'm really proud of you. It's not like you're an addict." And I was like, "Right. So you do see just my achievements then?"
Yeah.
And you don't see what I stand for or who I am and everything like that.
All the skills that you have and the reputation that you've built, and like
I'm sorry, I've had like, I guess you could call it an eating disorder. I still have to like admit things to myself. But like for somebody to say that, fucking shocking. Absolutely. And I was very, very much taken back by like, how can you say that? I would be proud of my daughter or my son or my little non-binary little creature of what they're doing. Even if they were an addict, like I would help them as well any way they could. Like it baffles me that that's what they said, because it's like, why are you putting the two together in the way of like, in like not a competition, but like
that's where their brain goes when they hear that.
And it's like, I was like addicted to eating all the food on my plate and stuff, like because of how I grew up, and like I've got trauma and stuff. But none of that is like taken into consideration. It's, oh, you're not an addict. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, so I've had criticism with a few people. But yeah, that is the end of the episode. Leaving on a fucking high. Where, yeah, usually it is fathers where it's like, oh, I wouldn't want my daughter to do this and stuff, and it's like, you've just jacked off to somebody's daughter.
And aye.
And that doesn't faze you.
Yeah. This is the bit that always really bugs me. Aye, that's the thing that really bugs me, is like, it's the hypocriticalness of it all, where like sex work is like morally wrong and it has all the stigma attached, but like watching porn doesn't. Like, I'm not saying that actually physically seeing sex workers doesn't, but I don't really get what the difference is between that and like porn in terms of like it's two people having sex for money. Like, why does one? I'm not saying that there isn't stigma attached with like people that make porn as well, but there's less stigma attached, especially these days with like OnlyFans and stuff blowing up the way it has. I feel like it's getting more normalized.
I feel like it is getting more normalized, but also the internet, because I see it on Twitter all the time, where men talk shit constantly, where it's just like, oh, she's such a whore doing this and all that stuff, and it's like, how can her dad see her? And
Yeah,
it's just like, it is really just, you're a human being at the end of the day.
yeah.
Just let them do whatever they want.
It goes back to this hierarchy again that we've spoke about like a
Yeah.
million times, but
Uh-huh.
I feel like it's so relevant, especially when it comes to discussing like the law and the kind of legislation and stuff in place, because that hierarchy exists within the legislation as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Even about, well, if you take like, you can get two porn creators that have never met each other who meet up to have sex and film it.
Yep.
I don't understand morally, like,
That's
quote unquote,
fine.
what the difference is between that and someone visiting a sex worker. Other than one of them's getting paid and one of them's just not and having a good time.
Well, you can still get paid.
Or you can still get paid if
Which
it's going to
still
be...
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because, like, I've been paid for porn shoots and stuff like that, and it's just like, how on earth is that making any sense?
I don't understand it. Is it because more people watch porn, so they've had to, like, kind of mental gymnastics it to be okay in their heads? But then, as we've discussed, like, that's not even the case, because if that was the case, there wouldn't be as much... There still is quite a lot of stigma against people who make porn. Even though, like, I don't know anybody that doesn't watch porn. Like,
I know.
it's just not... Yeah.
Got on to something different here. Did you see I cannot remember her name, bless. The documentary, Pornhub documentary she put on Pornhub, I think, of this woman sleeping with 100 men.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, basically she was all happy and everything like that. She did it for fun.
Yeah.
I think she slept with all of them. Or like gave a blowjob to 100 men. I'm not too sure. I haven't watched it because I don't really think it shows us in a good light, but it also shows an extreme side of like trafficking, but it's got nothing to do with trafficking. But she has like 100 men within a day or something, like literally lined up. And she comes out fucking traumatized, basically.
Oh, right, okay.
And I'm like, okay, so this isn't showing it.
Was this in a day?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, like her eyes
that
were
would
like
fucking
red.
hurt, man.
Yeah.
Like,
whether it's the jaw or down below, it's not
makes
going to
no
be good.
difference. Like
exactly, it's going to hurt either way.
Yeah.
But you know, she came out tears in her eyes and everything like that. She was fucking broken.
She did this for fun.
Yeah, for a documentary.
Oh, for
her
the
own
documentary. Okay. Not fun then.
I'm sure she thought it might have been fun.
Yeah. Aye.
But it's like 100 random men.
Yep.
That's gonna be good. And I feel like that just shows the trafficking side of like what the realities are for trafficked women and stuff.
Yeah.
Even though I had nothing to do with that, that's what
Yeah,
I
but
saw.
just aye.
Like that's
You always go to the dark place.
I do. I really do. Like I didn't like. I know that my inquiries, some people, men, think that I have like 100 men a day or at least 10 a day.
Yeah.
And it's also disgusting when I get a man who says, oh, don't wash. Because he thinks I've already had a client.
Yeah.
Or I get a client who says, oh, I want to be your first client of the day. And I'm like, mate, I only take like one a day or something like that.
Aye.
Like, if I choose to.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't have like more than 3 people in a day. These days, not even like 2.
Yeah.
Out of choice. But like, the nerve to say that.
Yeah. I feel like this is like coming back to all these connotations that people have in their heads.
Yeah, they think
where
we shag all day.
It's either the lifestyle or the job is totally and utterly glamorized.
Yep.
Or it's shown as like being in the gutter. And there's like no in between at
No.
all. It's either like totally sensationalized or it's totally vilified.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, there needs to be more like reality checks for like what a day in the life is like. I was, in fact,
No, well, proper reality, because there are women on TikTok who really glorify it, and it's like day in the life of like a dominatrix, or a day in the life of an escort, or a sugar baby.
but that's still it's
fake.
TikTok, so it's sensationalized. You know, like it's not going to get the views if it's like them sitting about watching the telly.
Yeah,
like,
that's my day.
them playing fucking Fortnite.
Yeah. I play Fortnite. Like that is like a normal day where like you do have some peace and quiet at some point.
Taking a domline call while like making some macaroni.
Yeah, exactly. While you're mid fucking shit. Oh, I had one the other day where I was just like, "Do you want to hear me piss?" And he was like, "Yes." I was like, "All right, go on then." I was like, "Are you ready for a shit?" And he was so game, and he ended up coming and everything. I was like, "This is perfect."
Yeah,
it fits in so well. It's
you
so
should start putting up on Twitter like shitting in 5 minutes. Call me on domline.
I'll probably get some fucking people as well. To be fair. But no, we've kind of went sidetracked, but still within like proceed without caution, where it comes with like stigma and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, proceed without caution was good, and going to Parliament, and it was really, really empowering.
Yeah.
Overall, it was so good, and to see that there were people who were gonna stand by us and were there for us.
Yeah.
And there are communities and charities who do care.
Totally.
Yeah.
I would imagine that must feel nice for like a job that can be so isolating and stuff, that like there's more out there than you realise, and there's more support and more resources. Not government funded, but community funded. And I feel like, I don't know, at least then the government's not going like, oh, this money should only be spent on X, Y, and Z. Like it's actually going where it needs to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely,
it's not like pledged or whatever to a certain cause, which they should be getting money. They're a charity. They're doing work and they're helping people. That should be enough.
But they just don't agree with how we use our bodies, or that poverty exists, because that, you know, that's just make believe. Yeah, what else? Yeah, so at some point there will be another Scotland protest. And if anybody also knows me, they can come up to me, whether it's work or lifestyle.
Yeah.
You are more than welcome to come up to me, because I did get a few messages of some people who did attend, and they were like, "Oh, I didn't know if to approach or not." Nah, fucking come.
Yeah.
Come and see me, because I do want to see who actually like properly goes out their way and supports us, and I want to, like, we're a community at the end of the day, whether you're a sex worker or not.
Yeah.
Like, we appreciate any help and any push that will, you know, get us the attention that we need. And if by chance there are any journalists or anything like that, please post the actual correct material. Because recently we were in one paper, the protest,
Oh, right, okay.
the Scotland protest, and it was just incorrect facts. And it's like, come on. But yeah, if you do actually want to support us, then speak to actual sex workers and get to know us, get to know the community, get to know what our lives are like, and really push for decrim. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Cool, I think that's us at the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening, guys.
Yeah. I've been Porcelain Victoria.
And I have been Emily Sun. We are in our Christmas gear because
Yeah.
we're also recording our Christmas episode today.
Yeah.
So if you want to see us, go and check out our Dark Fans, which is in our all my links.
Yep.
As always, we've got a little 10% discount code for you guys. If you use Behind the Paddle at checkout at thesanctuaryofsin.com, you can get that off.
Yeah.
And I think
Is it too early to advertise the uncensored market?
Well, we just had our one on Sunday. It went fucking amazing. And we have got our date for the next one. So it's 6 months away. But if
Yeah.
you're keen, it's already up on FetLife if you want to go and say that you're interested or attending to kind of keep an eye on it.
Yeah, FetLife kinky version of Facebook.
Yeah, it'll be on the 7th of June next year. So excited.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Remember to follow our Dark Fans.
Yay.
And we can humiliate you and things like that if you DM us
yeah.
and talk to us. And like, we can work something out. But yeah, do not forget to leave us a review on all the platforms as well. Reviews really help us out. I'm going to assume it's 5 stars. But yeah, you should be able to find my links to any of my stuff through Behind the Paddle, all links, and any of your stuff as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, bye.